We, the Vermont Parents Against Critical Theory, VPACT, are here tonight to represent a large group of concerned parents and citizens of Milton regarding the proposed draft equity policy. Over the past few months, we have spent hundreds of hours engaging our community with an honest, open dialogue about this policy, something this board has not done. During this process, we presented a petition to residents of Milton urging the board to vote no to the adoption of this recommended equity policy. We have over 1,000 signatures on this petition, which includes parents, students, community members, teachers, as well as current and former board members. In case this board needs any reminders, the Department of Education, the VSBA, and all legal entities that review their policies are working together to facilitate this radical woke ideology into our schools. The grooming of our children into social justice warriors is full speed ahead with the formation of the affinity group and the Milton for Social Justice, to highlight a few. By the end of 2021, leading the charge, Wilmer Chabria and Amy Rex had taken a 1.5-page state recommended policy and drafted it into a 14-page policy that would change the entire operations of our school. This policy is strategically designed to reinstitute how our school operates across all facets and will be based on a progressive, socialist, and Marxist ideology. It will be the cancer that rapidly pollutes the minds of our kids and grooms them into social justice warriors. We see it for exactly what it is. Here are the facts. This policy is recommended, not required. This policy will supersede all other policies. This policy has unchecked legal ramifications. This policy is Marxist and un-American. This policy was put together 2 years ago by a committee with a woke agenda that no longer participates in current policy discussions. This policy is led by a committee that no longer takes questions and doesn't include community comments in their meeting minutes. This policy has received extensive and constant pushback for 10 months, including hundreds of questions, dozens of emails, numerous meetings attended in opposition. This policy is riddled with critical race theory and queer theory, openly admitted by Wilmer Chabria. This policy has already cost the taxpayers thousands of dollars, and this policy has diverted valuable time and energy away from our children. So I ask you this, based on these facts, what is the real agenda?
Unsurprisingly, the attorney found numerous problems, including missing legal references, obscure, lengthy, unintelligible language, open-ended entitlement establishments, a mixture of policy and procedure, and most importantly, multiple violations of First Amendment rights. The draft equity policy directs the superintendent over a dozen times to oversee or implement large swaths of this policy with little or no reporting requirements. Perhaps greater concern to parents, especially those who just want to have a say in their children's learning, is the way that this administration and board has treated concerned parents and their questions and comments. From the start, this process has been a sham designed to destroy the resolve of parents by requiring them to provide redundant feedback without ever receiving substantive responses or answers to their questions and comments.
During those meetings, community members raised their concern that this policy was littered with critical theories, including critical race theory and queer theory. From a transcript on April 28th of this year, Wilmer even stated, quote, "I don't want to get into this game that some districts have gotten into just because some people are upset about critical race theory. The districts pretend that it's not a thing. It is a thing, it is very present, and it informs a lot of what we do," end quote.
Then came the second community forum meeting that was held just recently on December 6th. The format was disgraceful. There was a brief introduction to all those present, during which neither comments on the policy nor comments on the clear bias of the third-party facilitator were taken. Much like the first meeting, teachers in support of this policy were highly represented in each of the groups, no matter if they lived in Milton or not. The small groups were run by facilitators, which included activist teachers and students in the district that support the policy. A forum ended up being a feedback gathering mechanism for the school. How can you give feedback when you don't understand what you're giving feedback on? In fact, EM Strategies, owned and operated by a member of the Vermont legislature and self-admitted equity activist, who was hired to facilitate the community dialogue about the equity policy, actively pushes equity agendas across the state. We should not be funneling money through the school to a company owned and operated by a sitting member of the Vermont legislature and self-proclaimed activist.
In closing, we're providing a copy of this statement, dozens of emails sent to the board and administration from several concerned Milton residents about the proposed equity policy. The reference petition with over 1,000 signatures from Milton residents, and a third-party legal review provided by an attorney out of Burlington that works with many Vermont school districts. For the reasons stated, we are asking our elected school board trustees to vote to abandon the proposed equity policy at the next board meeting and terminate any further work toward an equity policy. We would like to remind the school board trustees that you are elected into your positions to represent the voice of Milton residents, parents, and taxpayers. Therefore, you work for us, not for the superintendent and administration. Thank you.